On the mill floor, a glowing slab rockets forward, straight into a worker who never turned to see it. The furnace blazes, filling the plant with heat and noise. This worker focuses on fine adjustments, back turned, while heavy slabs glide down the rollers. The line never stops moving, even when eyes do. Suddenly, a red-hot bar surges out faster than expected. Sparks burst as it strikes. One worker, caught unaware, is slammed. His team rushes in, dragging him clear of the live conveyor before the next slab follows. Never, ever turn your back on live production lines, especially when molten material is in motion. In a steel mill, danger doesn't wait for attention. The machinery drives forward relentlessly, and the material itself is unforgiving. Worker slips his head through truck rails. Then the steel flips him down. A flatbed truck sits idle under the sun. A worker climbs into its back, loosening its bolts. His head slides between the steel bars, using them as leverage, his balance resting on narrow footing. His weight shifts too far. The rail acts like a hinge, flipping his body outward. Legs whip overhead, and he lands hard to the side of the truck. Never lean through rails or trust them to hold you. They are not ladders, they're levers. They can trap, twist, and turn a slip into a violent fall. In a cramped warehouse stacked with stone slabs, one wrong move sends thousands of pounds crashing forward. The warehouse is packed wall to wall with giant slabs of stone and glass, each standing tall on racks. Workers weave between them, adjusting, lifting, and preparing orders. It's routine, almost mechanical, but the space itself is dangerous. One worker in an orange shirt crouches at the side, while others focus on materials up front. Then it happens. A single slab tilts forward. At first, it's just a slight lean, barely noticeable. But momentum builds fast. The slab tips, crashes against another, and in seconds, a chain reaction begins. One after another, the massive panels fall, toppling like dominoes. In storage yards and warehouses, materials stored vertically are always a potential hazard. Never ever trust stacked stone, glass, or sheet material to hold its balance. If it's not braced, strapped, or blocked, it will fall, and once it falls, there's no human strength that can stop it. While adjusting the roll changer, a hydraulic blowout from the machine sends a worker flying. Inside a heavy-duty steel rolling plant, powerful machines shape hot metal using massive rotating rolls. At the side of the stand, a roll-changing system is used to move and align these heavy rolls for production. A worker steps close to the machine's side, attempting to adjust the roll changer. Suddenly, the roll changer's hydraulic arm moves unexpectedly. The forceful motion strikes the worker, pushing him backward into a support frame before he falls to the floor. What seemed like a simple adjustment becomes a sudden and dangerous mechanical strike with no time to react. Always isolate and de-energize heavy machinery before performing maintenance. Rolling mill equipment contains powerful hydraulic systems that can move without warning, if not fully locked out. On a high-rise shell, a worker steps onto a steel beam. In seconds, the beam gives way. It's midday on a half-finished construction site. Workers are positioning materials using a makeshift platform. No safety nets, no harnesses, no guardrails. One man wearing bright yellow boots stands boldly on the beam. He's not tethered to anything. His co-workers are a step back, shifting a load upright. They're gambling on balance and timing to get the job done. As the group adjusts the tall, awkward piece of material, the man on the beam leans and shifts his weight. The steel beneath him teeters. Then, without warning, the beam tilts free. The man is still on it when it slips. His feet fly, his hands reach, but he slips with the falling beam and disappears from view. It happens in a split second. His coworkers stand frozen, stunned by the sudden fall. Never, ever step onto unsecured steel at height. Falls from height remain the deadliest hazard in construction. Steel beams are never secure if they're not anchored. Using them as walkways or work platforms is a silent invitation to disaster. At a bustling container yard, a reach stacker rolls forward, its arm extending toward a towering wall of metal containers. In seconds, that wall begins to shift. A worker operates a reach stacker, a heavy-duty machine designed to lift and transport containers and maneuvers dangerously close to a stack that towers far above it. These containers, piled without proper locking and stabilizing, create a structure that is as fragile as it is massive. The operator is focused on lining up, probably thinking about the next lift, not the structure looming overhead. For a moment, everything looks routine. Suddenly, one of the mid-level containers slips just inches out of place. That's all it takes. The massive tower loses balance and gravity does the rest. Multiple containers cascade downward like falling bricks, smashing into the reach stacker's boom. The operator has no time to react. The entire machine is overwhelmed. Steel slams into steel, the vehicle rocking violently. In less than 5 seconds, thousands of pounds of cargo transform from orderly stacks into a deadly avalanche. Never ever stack containers beyond their rated safety limits without proper locking, bracing, or securing systems. These towers may look solid, but without the right interlocks and spreader locks engaged, they are essentially unstable piles waiting to give way. On a dusty industrial yard, a red dump truck begins reversing with its load, and just a few steps behind it, a yard worker stands with his back turned. A dump truck, its bed piled high, is shifting into reverse. In that same yard, a worker moves across the ground, his attention fixed on checking the material just dumped. His back is completely turned to the dump truck rolling toward him. The danger is invisible to him, but it's also invisible to the driver. Without a spotter watching, without barriers in place, the driver cannot see what's in his path, and the distance between them is shrinking fast. Then it happens. The truck keeps reversing, inch by inch. The man doesn't step aside. He has no idea it's closing in behind him. The bumper nudges the equipment he's focused on and he's caught off balance, stumbling forward. In a split second, the routine motion of a truck backing up becomes a serious safety hazard. Blind spots are killers. And on work sites where massive vehicles move in tight spaces, never ever turn your back on a reversing truck. The responsibility doesn't fall on the worker alone. It's shared. Drivers must also never reverse without a clear spotter guiding them. On a construction site filled with heavy machinery, a fully loaded cement mixer tips sideways, crashing into a deep excavation pit. The cement mixer, massive and weighed down with tons of concrete, rumbles across uneven ground. There are no barriers, no guardrails, no reinforced embankments, just an open excavation yawning beside the work zone. Workers mill about, focused on their own tasks, while the truck positions itself to pour. To the untrained eye, everything looks routine. But in reality, every movement near that pit is a roll of the dice. The truck isn't just heavy, it's overloaded, its balance precarious, and its proximity to the edge unforgiving. Then the moment strikes. The driver steers forward, and the weight shifts. The edge cannot hold. The cement mixer begins to lean, its massive drum dragging its balance away from the center. Within seconds, the entire truck tips sideways, wheels lifting clear off the ground. The mixer lands on its side, twisted, useless, and trapped at the bottom. What was once controlled power becomes wreckage in a heartbeat. This wasn't fate. It was preventable. Heavy trucks, especially overloaded cement mixers, are among the most unstable machines on a site. Near the edge of an open pit, their center of gravity works against them. A slight tilt, a wrong angle, or too much weight becomes irreversible. Without ground stabilization, load limits, and barriers in place, the risk is guaranteed to turn deadly. In a cramped kitchen, a massive boiling pot slips. Then in seconds, chaos erupts. It's early morning inside a busy industrial kitchen, the kind where meals are prepared in bulk. Two workers struggle together to lift a huge steaming pot, its size nearly as wide as the prep table. The space is tight, cluttered, and unforgiving. As they attempt to shift the heavy pot, their grip falters. In one sudden tilt, after one of the workers lost his footing, the contents poured out, splashing across the floor and onto nearby workers. The liquid spreads in a wave of heat and steam, sending everyone scrambling to get clear. What began as a routine lift turns into a frantic effort to stay safe. Hot liquids in industrial kitchens are one of the most deceptive hazards. They look manageable until the weight shifts and control is lost. A single slip can turn a moment of teamwork into an instant disaster. Always plan lifts with proper equipment, never bare hands alone. On a dusty work site, a worker casually steadies a suspended load. Seconds later, the steel frame swings loose and comes crashing down. A bright yellow steel frame carrying hydrogen gas cylinders is being hoisted by a crane. It's massive, weighing several tons, dangling precariously from chains overhead. One worker steps too close. He positions himself directly beneath the suspended structure, raising his hand as if his strength could steady it. For a moment, the frame hovers, but as the rigging shifts, gravity takes over. The load tilts violently, breaking its balance. In an instant, the entire structure swings sideways and slams into the ground with explosive force, right where the worker had been standing seconds before. Never stand beneath or beside a suspended load. No amount of experience or strength can stop gravity. A load that weighs thousands of pounds cannot be guided by hand. Once it tilts, it's unstoppable. Every suspended load is unpredictable. Chains can fail, balance can shift, machines can slip. The one thing you can control is where you stand. Stay clear. Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.